This is an ad for a project management tool called Monday.com. This is what it looks like, and this is what it feels like.
Welcome again to Work It Out with Mercy Quaye, the show about what people do for work, at work, and what motivates us to move. Each week, I'm talking to people who have ditched the 9-to-5 to start their own thing and take on a 24/7. And I'm also talking to folks who have ditched the status quo altogether to find their own particular brand of happiness. Consider this your Monday motivation and your weekly invitation to find what your passion is and figure out how to work it out. Today's guest I have here with me is Adam Christoferson. This is awful because I just met the two of you guys, Henry and Mr. Cobb. What's Armand Cobb. Adam is the founder and director of Musical Intervention, which is this cool spot that I kind of just like wandered into a couple of weeks ago. Literally just wandered into it. And cool things were happening in it. I was like, oh, I should have you on the show. And Armand and Henry, what do you guys do? What are you up to?
I work right now at Dick's Sporting Goods in Milford. So if anybody needs athletics, you can come in. But no, actually, I'm trying to do a couple different things like around the city, just trying to find myself, maybe get into some type of like entrepreneur type of thing.
Very nice. This is the city to do it.
Yeah. And work a little bit under my guy here. Yeah.
And Henry, how are you involved with musical intervention?
Yeah, so I'm I don't know, I sort of do all sorts of stuff now over there. Started off just kind of coming by and hanging out too much, and then they were like, "Do you want to actually volunteer here?" And I was like, "Sure." And then
They're like, you're already volunteering here. Do you want to volunteer here?
Yeah. So, and then yeah, I mean, I've been doing work with Adam, helping to set up stuff for some events we got coming up, and doing the open mics and whatnot there. But helping out there, and besides that, I got a little other job in a clothing store. So
Sweet. So bouncing back to you, Adam.
Yeah.
The show is about what people do for work, at work, and what motivates us to move. And when I wandered into your little slice of heaven on, is that college?
Temple Street.
Temple, on Temple. I was like, this is the middle of the day. What are these guys doing over here? What's going on here?
Yeah.
So tell for the folks who don't know what musical intervention is, tell us about it.
Cool. Mercy, thank you for having us.
Yeah, for sure.
So musical intervention is this platform to help people write and record original music. It started out as I was working as a recreation therapist at Yale Child Psychiatric Inpatient Hospital, and making music with them. And I was there for 5.5 years working inpatient, and it was really some of the best years of my life, just being there for people. And I loved, I loved a lot of the different activities like leisure education and all that stuff, and all part of recreation therapy, kind of the field,
Mm-hmm.
But the music was really, really something special. And so I got a lot of support from Dr. Martin, who was the medical director there, and my supervisor, Karen Lammy, to start doing this at other places. And then I kind of was able to kind of charge my own price, and I was making enough to kind of break out. So after 5.5 years, I decided to leave Yale and focus on musical intervention after I ran for mayor.
I feel like there's a threshold of time in which people decide to leave Yale, and I feel like 5.5 years is the exact amount of time.
Yeah, it was great though, honestly. I mean, obviously every agency is going to have so much bureaucracy based on, all of the liability that goes on to everything. I just saw that this music thing could really help people in an inpatient facility, but also it could help them at an outpatient community program. And so musical intervention headquarters, where you kind of stumbled into.
It was a real stumble. I was like, what the heck is this? It's 2:00.
It's a cool place.
It is really cool.
It's really cool.
It was like a full, I mean, I wouldn't say like open mic, but when I walked in, it was like, it had to be 2:00 because I was just coming back from being on NPR on the nose. It was a Friday.
Cool.
So I get off the nose at 1, stumbled in around 1:30. Trying to figure out what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. And I'm like, all right, well, music's coming from in here. I'm thinking, oh, well, there's music playing on like,
It was live.
It was live music at 1:30 on a Friday. And the coolest part about it was, and this won't sound cool, but for me, this was the coolest part about it. There wasn't an audience. There was no audience at that moment, but the folks who were on stage playing were playing and singing their heart out as if there was.
Yeah, thanks. And that's like literally the best thing for me to walk into when the place is being utilized like that.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot at the headquarters, and there's a lot of levels of depth there.
Yeah.
And that right there is the essence of it. That's the people creating music for the love of music.
Yeah.
And I call those times like our rehearsal times, ultimately for the open mics that we have on Thursday nights, and get a lot of that showcase talent. And, there is so much talent by bringing together so many different unique people from completely different backgrounds.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we have like somebody who's on the spectrum playing with somebody in recovery, playing with somebody who's staying at Columbus House, playing with a college kid who just stumbled in. It's just so beautiful.
I.e. me.
Yeah. It is. And this is like basically a dream come true that I had when I was about 17, of having a space for people to come to. And I feel like a lot of people have that dream of having a space that's creative where people can come
or some kind of dream that they have when they're young and that they can't fully materialize for one reason or another.
There's a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Right.
And I want to dive into that with you. Okay. So how did you, and I'm going to ask this question, I'm coming back to you guys. Right. How did you sort of fully realize this dream of yours? Because when I stumbled in, I started asking a bunch of questions, and sort of this, reporter way that I do. And you started telling me about how, you grew up in East Haven, and is that right?
New Haven and East Haven. Yeah,
Okay, grew up in New Haven and East Haven. You had this dream when you were about 17, and you started materializing it.
Yeah.
10 years later or so. So
Crazy.
How, tell us
The
how that
journey?
works.
Yeah, that
How
journey.
does that work? Yeah.
I started saying it earlier by working so I decided to go to college. Now, me as a special ed student and all that stuff, I didn't want any more school.
Yeah.
But I was convinced by Abby Feldman.
You were special?
I'm so special.
Everybody's
So
special.
Who
And
you
so-
telling?
Yeah, I was a special piece of work. And so, so she said, go to college. And I went to college. So I went to Southern Connecticut, got the degree. And that opened the door to this really cool job at Yale. And
Yeah.
so,
You said she said? Who she said?
I said Abby Feldman.
Oh, got it.
Yeah,
Great.
so Abby and I had met Sue Feldman, her mother, and who's this amazing social worker. And I was about 17 years old. She invited me into a program called the Village of Power, and that was on Dixwell Avenue, part of Hill Health Center. And she's like, hey, can you bring your guitar in and make some music with some of the ladies? And a lot of these ladies, they were coming from homelessness, dual diagnosis, AIDS, so, all of that stuff was going on, and a lot of trauma happening in there. So me going in there, it was like, I just like a perfect fit. I felt so comfortable there because there's just so much creative energy there. And so, that was the first time I ever got a check cut out to Adam Christoferson for doing music with people, outside of like the regular gigs and stuff like that.
How much was the check?
It was nice. It was enough to keep me going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, wow, like that's more than I'm going to get playing at a coffee shop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, that's where you start thinking, oh, well, maybe there's a way that I can do this thing, right? And it kept the dream alive, kept me focused on the thing. And so working at Yale, it was all right. It was, I was doing the hours and honestly, like helping kids find their way. Music is very powerful that way. And it was great. It's just, I got some more in me that I want to get done and I can't get it done. Like, for example, I remember one of the kids came through, he wrote this incredible tune. I was like, this is a great song. We got to get it to Oprah. We got to get it to like Ellen. People got to hear this story. It's going to inspire people. And they were like, no, that's not happening. Too much liability, HIPAA. When you're in clinical things, you have to protect people's identity at all costs. And so I'm like, I'm like, yeah, that's where I want to go. Like,
Yeah.
I want these stories heard. The stuff and the
that's
transformation that I'm seeing, I got to have it happen. And so when I had that opportunity to work at the community, West Haven Community House, to work with adults who have intellectual disabilities, I went there and ran my normal music group, and it was so powerful. Like, and I got paid really well to do it. I'm like, I remember, all right, so this is kind of a cool, so I asked my supervisor, I was like, how much do I charge to get this thing done?
What do I?
I'm not going to tell you the number, but she's like, but I said, no, I actually want the job. How much do I charge? I want to get paid to do this.
Yeah.
And it was much more than I thought I was worth, you know what I'm saying? But she said, no, this is what it's worth. Trust me. So I went out there, I sent it out, and without a blink of an eye, they were like, yeah, let's do this. And I haven't looked back since.
Do you feel like it was much more than you were worth at the time? Do you feel like she still lowballed you, like in hindsight?
No, I think it was just right on. I mean, because a lot of nonprofits, they don't have a lot of money.
Right.
And so you don't want to cut too deep into their budget for something that you're
For me, I'm just like, wow, if that was an easy yes, I could have probably asked for a couple more zeros.
Yeah, no, I've asked for more. I've asked for more. And,
200,000.
And so
I don't get out of bed for anything less than 150,000.
blink.
Done.
I wish. And so, but the real problem is obviously the economy, especially in my field, when we're going to nonprofits and we're going to, I work with the state now, and everybody's kind of like, all right, like it's a lot of money to be asking to run these groups.
Yeah.
And they see the value 100%. It's just, it's tight. So instead of working at a place, for 6 hours a week, some of the organizations I've been working with for over 5 years have cut it down to every biweekly.
So are you still working with these folks in addition to doing your work with musical intervention?
Yeah. So currently that pays for the headquarters.
Nice.
We don't have any support at the headquarters as far as like.
This is like a passion project for you.
Yeah, it's totally like, when you say like.
And you can feel the love.
Oh, it's there.
You can feel it.
Yeah.
It was there before I even walked in. Like I
Everyone.
knew it. It was so meant to be. It was so the space came to me through Project Storefront. I don't know if you know Eleanor
Yeah.
Solomba.
Mm-hmm.
So that space was just opening in December 2015, and I just finished a small grant that got me working more with the community, which is exactly where I wanted to be. So the Arts Council set me up with, I think it was a $5,000 grant to do some work with the homeless. And I was doing open mics at the Soup Kitchen with Liberty Community Services. And then I was doing work with their day program. And so it didn't cost them any money because I had a grant from the Arts Council to go into to work with them. And so I had all these people all of a sudden and nowhere to bring them. And I'm like, all right, so I need a space. And I swear, this is the craziest part. Eleanor's like, oh, there's a place you should go look at it. It's opening up. And I said, all right, let me look at it. And it's literally a replica of a drawing that I had when I was 17 years old.
Really?
Yeah, it looked exactly how I envisioned this space to look like. And I actually didn't put two and two together till like I was like deep into the project of working and building it and stuff.
Or you're building it out and you're like, this is
Vaguely
familiar.
familiar.
Why do I recognize this
It's
space?
always those like, you know, visions that tell you this is it.
This is the path I was always supposed to be on.
This is mine. Yes.
Yeah.
That's important. That's what we were just talking about, you know, on the ride over here. I love Armand. Armand came in like with the spirit like through the roof, and I can acknowledge that. I mean, the space is really unique that way. When people come in, if it's an ego thing and it's an ego trip and they're trying to get that thing fed at the space, it doesn't work. They don't last very long. They come in and they realize it's not about one person's ego. It's about a community movement.
Yeah.
And so it kind of like fizzles out. Either they like realize it and they get real, or it kind of, they don't come back. And that happens quite often. But Armand came in with this like spirit, full spirit. And I was like, totally acknowledged it. First thing I said, I was like, wow, I like this guy. Great ideas, motivator, right? Self-driven, all those key things that I got built into me for survival. So I'm looking at him and we're talking as we're coming over here is like, all right, you got vision, you got to see it now. How can we get into the social entrepreneur movement and be able to start helping people with all these creative ideas?
Wait, so Armand, you're a part of it from the beginning?
No, actually, I was just like you. I just walked in one day and I
It
said,
wasn't that long ago either. How long ago
no,
was it?
actually, just about a month.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say
Like
a
I've
month
been
ago.
A
to
month
about
ago?
3
Yeah.
open mics,
No,
and
it's
I'm actually
miraculous.
So like you probably stumbled in the day after I stumbled.
something like that, right? But I came in on a Wednesday, and they said come in on Thursday, and I have a lot of old material, like, you know, because I'm a rapper, but I'm like more of a clean rapper. There's no, you know, bang bang shoot 'em up type of stuff.
Yeah,
But-
rap's not like that anymore.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's what rap is now.
yeah, some
It's
boom,
not the
boom,
90s.
we got to keep it clean. So
Are you a gospel rapper?
yes, I actually am.
Really?
Yeah, that's
So
that's
you know
part
Ty
of my
Tribbett?
thing. Yeah, Ty Tribbett. That's one of my
The intro
favorites.
to the show is Ty Tribbett.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't notice
And
that.
work it out. Yep.
Do you know
I like
Vashawn
Lecrae.
Mitchell?
Let's do this after the show.
All right, cool. Got you. Okay, so yeah, so I came in, and I started, you know, doing a couple performances just like everybody else at the open mic, and I loved it. I loved the community. I loved the people. There's like I seen people like really literally get saved. Like, oh my God, like this person looks better than they probably used to. Seriously. And they're alive. You know what I mean? There's the love in the air. There's something that was built that I love. And when I see that type of spirit, that type of thing, I gotta be there.
And Henry, what about you? When did you get involved?
So I got involved 3-4 months ago, and also just literally stumbled in. I was
So wait, to
literally-
be a veteran with musical intervention is like
Oh no, I got my inner circle.
okay.
And Henry's right at this beautiful place. Now these two guys are very. So I go with the flow. I want to give a platform to people to just let them chase that dream. I
Yeah.
got the space. Let's see if we can get together. Maybe put some money into it. You know, at least break even here. But can people do what they have inside of them?
Yeah,
And give
yeah.
give them that space.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
Henry is taking the ball for an event we got to talk about, this world record thing. and he's taking the ball and he's
I'm just
shooting
running
it.
with it.
He's got 3.
So tell me about that, Henry.
This guy.
Yeah, so I found it literally. So I was walking up and down the streets with resumes, just like handing them to places, and I would just literally walk
That's
by.
how job searching happens in 2018.
I'm old fashioned with that. But
It's really romantic. It's a really romantic way
Yeah, but
to
it is
job
it
search.
really
Pin.
throws people off. And
Yeah.
they're like, hey, can I have a job? And they're like, what?
You're
What do you mean?
They're
But
like,
so-
do you want to start right now? Is that what?
But yeah, so I stumbled into musical intervention. I was like, what is this place? And that you guys were telling me about it and
It's
whatnot.
the theme.
Yeah,
It's dope.
Mysterious. I don't know.
And
I feel like it's
yeah,
cloaked before you stumbled onto it.
it really is. It's
Timing.
like it doesn't exist until you find it.
Right.
and
right.
So romantic.
Right.
I like you, Henry. You're really romantic.
Wait till you hear him sing.
We're gonna do a segment at the end.
All right, cool. But yeah, so this event we've got going on the 21st, I've been doing a lot of work with Adam and Armand and some other people on this. And what it is, so June 21st is International Make Music Day. And as a part of our New Haven celebration, we're going to be trying to break the world record for, correct me if I'm wrong, the most recorded vocal singles on a song.
Yeah, the most vocal solos. in a
Vocal
song.
solos on a song.
How long is the song gonna be?
It's going to be long because we have to
Not too
get
long. Be all right.
365 plus people
We're going for
the
5.
record.
You have
We're
to.
going for 500.
Oh,
So it'll be like sometimes in our lives we all have fun.
we all have sorrow.
What are you
See,
doing?
look,
on
we
June
got
21st?
what? 1,
Huh?
2,
That's already 4. It's like 5
right?
seconds.
Let's get it. We're gonna go.
But yeah, so
A little trap beat behind it.
we're doing.
Yeah, there you go. Let's get it.
All right.
That's really impressive.
Later.
Later after the show, y'all.
Not during the show.
So
right.
for June 21st, we're going to be on the roof of the Temple Street Garage.
Right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it's
I
kind
had
of
to
like
pull permits.
Yeah.
the
Shout out to
Beatles'
the
last show kind of thing, like
Parking
up on the
Authority.
roof doing music. It's going to be a really cool experience. We got featured in Rolling Stone for what we're trying to do.
That's cool.
So we have a French news media company who's covering how people do International Make Music Day all over the world. They're coming and covering our events. We're getting international press for this. We're getting, mainstream media press for this. So it's gonna be a really cool thing, and we're hoping, it really helps put us on the map with this and
Yeah, New
helps
Haven.
put New Haven on the map as well.
So
Everyone collectively.
this is a show about what people do for work, right? And this is like a passion project that y'all have. So in the intro, I talk about people who ditch sort of the status quo to carve out their own particular brand of happiness, or people who ditch the 9 to 5 to get a 24/7. And I think that like I have an example of each of those two things.
That's like perfect.
Right?
Spot
Like,
on.
you know what I mean? And so tell me about how you've balanced this passion. I guess I know a little bit about how you're balancing it. You're like taking your work to fund your passion. That seems like what you're doing, Adam. But I want to know how you guys, Armand and Henry, how are you guys balancing this? Because you're doing work in other places.
Yeah. So for me, definitely I'd say ditch like sort of the status quo kind of, normal path and figure this whole thing out. It's definitely accurate for what I'm doing. I was a college student in the fall. I am
This
not
past fall?
I am not a college student currently. And I did not graduate. I'm just taking a little breather.
What school?
I was at George Washington University in DC.
Yeah.
And it's just some stuff came up. I needed to really reevaluate what I was doing, take a breather.
What were you majoring in?
Business, which was not the move. So yeah, I think
This is little Dickie's story.
I could see myself going back and being like a psychology major, going into music therapy. I mean, it's something that I found through this. It's been really something that's been so transformative for me.
Yeah.
And so so that's sort of the whole ditching part, and then balance part. That's been pretty easy actually for me because it's I'm working like the actual the job, like the actual job, and then really it's coming here. I don't even consider it like work or volunteering. I mean, it's like today's my day off, and Adam texts me 40 minutes ago and was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Like, and I was like,
Adam
"Of course
texted me 40 minutes ago.
of course, I want to be a part of this because it's like this is." I mean, realistically, if I wasn't at musical intervention, I'd probably be sitting at home playing music. So it's like, why not go and do it with other people, and why not see if I can't help
brothers.
someone with what I'm doing? So yeah, it's an awesome experience because it's it doesn't feel like work. That whole super cheesy thing that if you find something you love, you don't work a day in your life. Yeah, I
You're
know,
so
I had to do it.
romantic.
Yeah, I'm working.
You should see this guy on a Thursday night. You guys gotta come in. He's the most handsomest thing you've ever seen.
This sounded like the last posting from Facebook, last interview we did.
Yeah.
People always, they just.
Oh, that was
Love
my
it.
that was my roommate.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that was.
It's too funny.
But yeah, so I mean, it's really just coming in there. It's just an awesome experience getting to share what I'm doing with people, hear what other people are doing, collaborate on stuff, work together on stuff.
He's been incredible, and as far as I'm not like the money person. I'm like the builder, the work person. Go out there and make something happen, kind of person. But when it comes down to I need grant money, I can't. I'm going to continue to fund. I'm getting married in July, so there's a lot of things coming up. Like our lease ends up in December, or really January. That's when the lease ends up, and
Headquarters lease, not you and your fiance's lease.
No. I'm really lucky. I'm so lucky to have her.
Oh, I was going to say, you're so lucky that the lease isn't up yet.
So lucky.
Yeah, we got to keep this thing going. Come on, guys. Musical intervention. We need your help.
But Henry's got, he's brought so much positive attention to the headquarters from people that don't know that it exists. And, I totally believe in partnerships and timing and all that stuff. And so I'm just really grateful to have Henry, with us and seeing the vision and feeling that vision. So I think it's super it's powerful. I didn't see that coming when I built the whole thing. I didn't see the people.
Yeah,
I didn't see the people.
It's like if you build it, they will come kind of situation scenario.
Maybe it was a waiting thing.
It's timing. That's what
you were patient.
Oof, most people who know me don't know me as a patient person. But yeah, it took a while to see one dream actually manifest into the real world.
Good job, bro.
So let's talk about that. So what to you was the hardest thing in kind of getting this off the ground? And I'm sure in a lot of ways it still feels like it's not fully launched in the way that you want to fully realize it. But what's been the hardest thing thus far?
I underestimated what it took to manage such a space, and we haven't had a problem there. You know what I mean? We have some of the most challenging individuals that come through our space as far as being in treatment and being out of treatment and struggling with addiction and all that stuff. We don't have a problem there. However, it does take a lot of walking people to Columbus House or walking them to Liberty to go get showered and cleaned up. And it's so demanding. And so me being that person and also being the person that goes out and makes the money for the space, and then being the person that, I would not have, but it's still so beautiful because, like I said, I didn't see the people coming. I didn't see Amen Ra, who's my resident artist, come through, who has dedicated himself just as long as this place has been open and travel with me to New York City and open up a pop-up studio there and just dedicate his life. Did
he go to Bonnaroo too?
No.
Okay.
I brought an intern from UNH, Emma, to Bonnaroo Music Festival. It was amazing. There wasn't 10 minutes of quiet. People, this was last year, just people came through the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they love it. People love to make music. And, anyway, and then Giovanni, Giovanni Beeman has been 100% there for me in spirit and just encouraging me when I get a little, and then taking the brunt of some of my frustrations when I'm like, oh, the city dropped the ball and giving me 15,000. I needed that to build this, that, and the other thing. He takes the brunt of that and turns it into a positive. He's like, yo.
Is Giovanni the guy doing coffee in your space right now?
No, that person is gone now.
Okay.
Yeah. So Giovanni's he's like a Jedi.
That's so accurate.
Yeah, he's a Jedi. He's a straight up Jedi. He does really great work on guitars and tunes them up and stuff. But he's I don't know, like 6'6" or something.
And he also plays the guitar.
6'6".
He's like a jet.
Like his height is 6'6".
He's like Moses. He's Moses. He's the Jedi Moses.
Was Moses known for being tall? Is that a thing that Moses was? I mean, like,
I
if she
know
said
he
Avatar,
stuttered.
That's a good point.
if she said Avatar, that would have been a thing. But like,
That's
you
what I
said
hear,
Moses,
that
and I'm like, I don't
Moses
understand that
I'm
one.
telling a story. So, all right,
So,
legacy.
okay,
I'm
that's-
building a legacy, and so then,
Sorry, Moses.
then you got and Mina McNeil. She's just like, and Rusty Drake. You know, they've had the keys now. They make sure that the place is open, that it's safe.
So that's been sort of like some of the hardest things, learning how to actually manage people, manage space, manage time. What's been some of the easiest things for you?
Oh, well, you know, making music. I just love
Word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get to make me. You know that song? I don't want to work. I just want to bang on my drums all day.
No, I don't know that song.
It's a song.
That's him.
It's a thing.
That's him.
That's his song?
That's not my
no,
song.
that's him.
That's me.
Oh, the
Totally
song
him.
is
Like
him.
you'll see him
I was
on
like,
the
I don't-
drum set. You'll see him on the acoustic guitar.
I love music.
You'll see him on like the program. You know, putting things together, putting fade on people's voices, and he's like everywhere. I'm like, oh my god, he can do all that. Like, wow.
Wow.
It's amazing what it does. So yeah, I love that, and but seeing it in other people. So I needed it in my life, right? I went through just nothing but chaos in the beginning of my life, and music really was that anchor for me. And so to see how that impacted me, and knowing that it works, when I get to see that happening in other people's lives, it's like I love that.
Yeah.
It feels right. It feels perfect. There's nothing else I would want to do. And so, you know, that's a gift that I got that I'd love to just keep giving. And I found a way to be able to, you know, sustain those efforts,
Right.
which is the challenge usually in this kind of work.
Yeah, in any kind of work where you're kind of going it out on your own. If you're just tuning in, you are listening to Work It Out with Mercy Quaye, the show about what people do for work, at work, and what motivates us to move. Streaming live at 103.5 FM WNHH Radio and on the NewHavenIndependent.org and the New Haven Independence Facebook page. My guests here today representing the musical intervention headquarters, which is on Temple Street here in New Haven, are Adam Christoferson, founder and director, Armand Cobb, who is a
Volunteer musician.
volunteer musician with the organization, Henry Conlon,
There you go.
who is also a volunteer musician and sounds like he's doing a lot of organizing for International Music Making Day.
Sure.
Yep.
That's it.
So I want to get into how to sustain yourself when you're pursuing your passions. We've heard a lot about like how you're doing it. I want to turn to Armand and Henry. How are you guys doing it? Especially Henry, like your story. When I laughed a little bit and I said this is kind of a little Dicky story, but that is a little Dicky story. Like he went to college, he majored in business, and he was like, yeah, no, I want to be a professional rapper. And like he has a resume that says professional rapper on it with all of his internships underneath. And I kind of want to know, what's it take to like sustain yourself, whether that is an emotional sustenance or if that is like a financial sustenance. How do you sustain yourself when you're pursuing this kind of passion, the passion being music?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. So for me, it's always kind of been a dream of mine. I mean, you know, that whole thing, like when you ask your kid, like, what do they want to be when you grow up? And it's like an astronaut. I want to be president. I've always wanted to be a musician. It's just like always something I wanted to do.
I want to be an astronaut still.
Astronaut would be pretty cool.
You can do that. Don't you know somebody?
You know,
Kind of.
you know someone.
I might know a guy.
You know someone who's an astronaut.
I actually do. Yeah.
There's like
He knows people.
there's literally only
We can
like
help you.
60 astronauts.
It's my friend's dad is an astronaut.
Really,
Oh,
with
yeah.
NASA?
I think so. I don't know. I think it was during that time when NASA was a thing. But anyways, so I've always wanted to be a musician.
Enough about astronauts.
Enough about you. Let's talk about me.
Right, exactly. I liked you a moment ago. And then
the tides just turned. Yeah, where was that with that? But yeah, so I mean,
you always wanted to be a musician.
yeah, and then when the whole college life thing needed to be put on hold, needed to hit the pause button on that, you know, I needed to figure out who I was, what I was doing, really what direction I was going to be taking in life. And I mean, stumbling into music intervention really did drastically change the course of really who I am and
Of
what
even
I'm
your
doing.
trajectory.
Yeah, because honestly, before that, I was like, yeah, you know, I'll work in a clothing store and make some change to, you know, walking around money and kind of do my thing for a little bit and then go back to school and figure something out. And now with musical intervention, with Adam's help and the help of the other people there, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've got some really cool stuff lined up that's coming up over the next couple months.
What
and it's,
what year were you in school?
I was a sophomore.
You were a sophomore, so
Yeah.
you were a first semester sophomore, and you decided I'm not going to be a second semester sophomore.
Yeah.
It's a good time to figure it out.
Yeah.
As opposed to
hit the
like
pause button.
your
Yeah.
first semester senior, and you're $150,000 in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like this is like an awesome opportunity, an awesome time in my life, because also when else in life can you just like really hit pause on life and just decide to-
Reevaluate.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're young and you're
so-
free. Do it.
Exactly. It's a really cool opportunity. So I mean, I'm just taking the ball and running with it now.
One thing I want to say also, because he's incredibly talented, he writes incredible songs, and like I said, we see all kinds of talented people. The next phase of musical intervention, as this one gets more solidified and supported, is the publishing aspect and being able to help artists who might not have access, to music or recording studios or anything, but getting them, into the limelight, or getting them at least like some exposure to get their music out there, and potentially set them up with a platform so they can sell their own music.
Yeah.
And
So it's kind of like
I haven't thought about
there's something for me that kind of resonates or forces me to resonate on the idea of intervention in the name with what you're saying now, because it's sort of like intervening in the idea that in order to break into the music space, you have to have a certain amount of privilege, and like intervening in that idea and really bringing that commodity or bringing that access back down to the community and making it broadly available.
Yeah,
And
that's
I have
inspiration.
I have like the perfect example. Seriously,
It better be a
and-
really good example,
No,
Armand.
I
Because you
moment
said
was really
perfect.
special.
So.
I used to do drugs. I used to do drugs, and this is exactly what the name implies. It is musical intervention. It's plain, it's simple, and it's right in your face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, for
one
sure.
thing about me is I think I'm a little bit more not necessarily privileged, but I can say that I have not had to go to jail. I had not had to go to rehab and whatnot, but God blessed me, you know what I mean? And not only did he bless me, but he blessed me with good people to be around. It's like, I don't need drugs, I need music.
That's really cool.
you
And
know?
to make money, and like I think
and,
that's
and make some money.
it's
and
the reality, and like that's where
it's all there.
that's what I want to see. So I got help from the Arts Council to go step to step. They gave me a small grant, and then they gave me a larger grant to do work with the community in New Haven. Right, so I was able to use those steps as kind of an artist or whatever you call that I do, and then it led to the headquarters, which is like a very valuable thing for New Haven. It's just kind of sitting there, and I'm paying for it and investing and believing that somebody's going to help along the way. But that can actually start to overflow for other people to give them that same platform to build out their own social entrepreneur movement. And that's what a lot of times all I needed was like, oh my gosh, it's going to cost me $1,000 to use this space for three days. Like, it's too expensive. I can't even imagine having my own space.
Right.
But I want that place to be that kind of cooperative space of healthcare and community and art and music and all that stuff. It's a movement, and I think now is the time, because the money isn't around as much as we'd want it, and jobs are hard to find, and so a lot of people have a lot of downtime to be able to develop something really special.
Yeah.
To be somewhere.
Oh, that's true too.
To be
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
People feel I don't need to be in the street. I can go to musical intervention and do something.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
it's
Talk
really
to
it's a
somebody.
home.
It's
really,
a
got
community.
that-
Like we're family there.
It's got that home vibe to it too. I mean, like you were saying before, when you just like walk in, you were saying also
And we
when
put
you
in
walk
work.
in and there's people just playing music. I mean, it's just such like an awesome experience. You really do get that feeling like I'm home. You walk in, everyone's got a smile on their face greeting you. Like, it's all just like hugs and like good times, and people playing music, and they're like, I don't know. I remember it was the first open mic night, and it was just awesome because you were like, "Hey, do you play bass?" And I was like, "No," and you're like, "Cool, here's a bass. Get up on stage."
Let's get it done.
So it was. I mean, it's just.
So
like,
you play bass now?
No.
You said
yes,
meow?
you did. I
Right-
seen
right
you
meow?
up there the
Right
other
meow.
day. He was up there. He's like boom, 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 boom.
I have no
He was
idea what I'm
getting it
doing. I
done.
just kind of make it up as I go.
Yeah, but it was cool. It was a nice riff.
No, but
Oh,
it's
man.
like it's a really cool thing because it's that was my first time there, and they're like, "You're not a part of something? Cool, be a part of this." And it's just, they just musical intervention just brings people in and just like with open arms and just really embraces people for who they are and what they're doing.
You go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I just want to make sure that your listeners know that none of this would be possible if it wasn't for people like Bob Cole at CMHC believing in it and introducing me now even to Paul DeLeo of Demas. He's the CFO of Demas. And they've just recently opened the door for musical intervention to come up to Connecticut Valley Hospital and work with people there. Obviously, the App Foundation, I've been working with them for like 4 years. It's like really powerful.
Yeah.
And
so, especially as a...
Those are important people.
I
mean, one more, I have to give them their due because it just wouldn't be possible without, Betsy Donovan at Cedarhurst School, who reached out to me, saw what was going on. The fellowship place, we've been working with them for almost 3.5 years now. And those relationships are what provide the space currently.
Yeah. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about like, you've had this sort of dream since you were 17, but to be able to realize it takes a certain amount of skill set, right? And a network. How were you able to sort of infiltrate that network to help you fund the dream? It
really, so I mentioned when I was 17, I met Sue Feldman, and she introduced me to the concept of bringing my music to work with people, who are in vulnerable places, and that there's a need for that.
Yeah.
And so I think that was when the original idea was called Cafe Cave Performing Arts Center. It had no clinical foundation to it or anything. It just was a space for people to do what they're doing here.
Yeah.
And so that became more evolved once I realized that I could be working with agencies. And that really didn't come into scope until actually musical intervention got coined in a paper I was writing about my experience at the Child Psychiatric Inpatient Hospital at Yale. And so when I got that first contract to work out of the, not involving Yale, but actually doing independent work at different places, I was doing it in Fairfield. I was doing it anywhere somebody kind of led me to.
Yeah. So kind of like just following the path of least resistance in some places, and then also carving that path out for yourself.
Yeah, and not being fake about it.
Yeah, just like being hyper
grateful.
Genuine. Yeah.
Just being super grateful for the opportunity to provide that platform for people, which is what I love to do.
All right. So the show has about 7 to 10 minutes left. I want to get within the next minute, I want to finish off this interview section, and we can open it up to do a small set. So I need to ask, if people want to do what you've done and sort of step out on their own 2 feet and create manifest the dream that they have had for, a decade at least, what's the piece of advice you would give them?
Follow the rules, contribute to the community, to the greater community, and link yourself up with agencies who believe in what you're doing. Get yourself an LLC and get yourself the insurance and protection that you need. Or come see me or other people that are doing similar stuff.
Awesome.
and get some coaching.
Awesome. And then for the 3 of you guys, last question, what gets you worked up?
Motivation in like every way. Just stay driven, do well, have a good mindset, and praise God.
I think just like-minded people trying to do good stuff. Sorry, is that not close enough?
When you're close.
Yeah,
we
like-minded
want you
people
to talk closer to the microphone.
Gotcha.
I was trying to be discreet about it, and then you said it on air. So that's the thing.
You gotta work the mic.
Adam, what gets you worked up?
Gets me worked up. My fiance Suzanne Scala. We're about to get married.
That's so cute.
And our dog Copper.
All right. Shout out to Copper
God.
and Suzanne.
Is that the dog, Copper?
All right,
No,
here we
he's
go.
like the best
Take it
dog
away.
ever.
What are we doing?
All right. So this is.
Can I sing with you? Is it a song that I know?
No. This is an original. I mean, you're more than welcome. You can probably pick it up as you go.
All right.
So this is an original one that I wrote. Like over the course of like a couple days last week. This is the cigarette smoking songwriters blues, and I'm gonna have to just. I'm gonna
He's on
just
the
go
acoustic
ahead
guitar, guys.
and go ahead and apologize to my mom about this song.
Mm-hmm.
cigarettes and weary eyes. Smoke curls up into the night. No, it gave me such a fright. But that's the story of our young lives. And I was born just yesterday, but I'm no child by any means. Sipping tonic and Bombay into that fire and gasoline. And I was only 17, with Turkish gold and Marlboro Reds. They were the staples of my soul. And when that fire hit my head, I was feeling as good as gold. Still thinking I'd grow old. Cigarettes and weary eyes. Smoke curls up into the night. No, it gave me such a fright. That's the story of our young lives. So take me home so I can rest. Lay my head down in my bed. Smell of smoke upon your breath. Look of heaven in your eyes as you sing your lullaby. As you stand quiet across the room with that spirit between your lips, thinking back to when we were new, thinking back to when we were kids, smoking cigarettes and bliss. Cigarettes and weary eyes. Into the night.
I forgot the words.
No,
All
I
right.
threw him off.
No, it gave me such a fright. That's the story of our young lives. That's the story of our young lives.
Woo! All right, so we have like a minute and a half. Who's next?
All right, I got something.
You're going.
Okay, guys. All right. Let me pull out my notebook. My
Do I got to beep up for you?
It's like, yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
actually. That'd
Hit
be
that
good.
beat real
Let's
quick,
do
though.
that.
Hit that
Well,
beat real
All
quick.
right.
Yeah, somebody hit that beat.
What beat? What are you talking about? Like grinding or like what?
Well,
Start it.
you
start
know
it.
what? It
Yeah,
is
you
what it
start.
is.
You start it. And I'll
Kumbaya, my lord. Kumbaya. Kumbaya, my lord. Kumbaya. Kumbaya, my lord. Kumbaya. Oh, Lord. Kumbaya. Speed it up. Kumbaya, my lord. Kumbaya.
Get it?
Kumbaya, my lord. All right, anyway. Kumbaya, my lord. I am going straight. Kumbaya meets hip hop to praise you on today. You said make a new song, so a new song I sing. And hopefully it reach the right people to give praises to the king. Will you make me a symbol for you, but I don't want to be an idol? Idolatry could drive a man mad and another one suicidal. I know that that's not nice, and no, that's not cool. No need to get bent out of shape, though, but don't put your hand on the Bible, because a vow broken is a promise you can't keep. Hold your peace, exercise wisdom, and watch what you speak. Make yourself humble
Make sure that you don't mumble. Bumblebees are gonna keep buzzing. Snakes in the grass. Watch out for your feet. Be smart, don't be hard. Good jobs have a reward. That's a ball off the backboard. Rebound, turn around, and that's an awesome play. LeBron James and the guitar. And I pray that you have more. My God is the encore. No entree on delay. No time to eat. Praise God. Open the door. Hey.
Good stuff.
Kumbaya,
Good
my
stuff.
Lord. Hey, kumbaya.
Mercy, thank you.
Thank you.
Kumbaya,
Thank you, guys.
my
I'm
Lord.
so very happy that you came onto the show. If you are just tuning in, we are tuning out. Thank you for listening in. It's been Work It Out with Mercy Quaye, the show about what people do for work.
Thanks so much.
World
We
record time.
have
Adam Christoferson.
Armand Cobb.
And Henry Conlon.
as my 3 guests on the show today. Thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you.
Until next week, remember to find what your passion is and figure out how to work it out. Thanks again. I ain't got no job. Work it. Work it. Ow. Work it. Work it. Work it.
Yeah. When spring some fall, trouble keep coming out nowhere.